Okay, so you've heard it a million times, right? Invest your money to get rich. It's the golden rule of personal finance. But what if that's actually terrible advice? What if it's the absolute last thing you should be doing? Today, we're going to flip that old wisdom completely on its head.
Look, we're all trying to build wealth, and the story we're sold is that investing is the only reliable path. But here's the thought. What if that path is basically a dead end for anyone who's starting from scratch? What if the whole strategy is really just for people who are already rich?
Yeah, you know the drill. It's everywhere you look online. Invest early, invest often. Let that magical thing called compound interest do its work. And poof, one day you'll be on a yacht. It sounds so clean, so simple, almost too simple. But here's the kicker. The uncomfortable truth that nobody really wants to talk about is that for the vast majority of us, for anyone starting from zero, investing is not the answer. In fact, it might just be the very thing holding you back from ever creating real life-changing wealth. So let's dig into why that is. First up, let's talk about what we can call the investing illusion. It's this incredibly popular story that sells a dream of easy wealth, but the reality it delivers is often something very, very different. And you can see why this story is so popular, right? It's super appealing. You just picture your small, steady contributions slowly, magically blossoming into this huge fortune over time. And mathematically, hey, it works. Your money does grow. But the real issue here isn't the math. The real problem is the timeline. The sheer amount of time this takes. You start out putting in small amounts. 10 years go by, then 20. And it's only then that you really start to see that beautiful compounding curve kick in. But think about that. We're talking about 30 years of your life. So after this 3-decade-long marathon, what's the grand prize at the finish line? Well, if you're investing a few $100s a month, even with pretty good returns, you might end up with a few $100,000. And this, right here, is the core of the illusion. The promise is this extraordinary, life-changing wealth. But the reality, after 3 decades of patience, is financial stability. Now, don't get me wrong, stability is great, we all want that. But let's be honest, that is not the jackpot we were promised. Okay, so if the slow and steady path is really just a crawl, what's the alternative? Well, it all comes down to understanding the math of the multiplier, and it's the real reason the rich just keep getting richer. This is where we have to totally reframe how we think about investing. It is not the engine that builds your fortune from the ground up. It is the powerful multiplier you use after the fortune has already been created. And that little distinction, it changes absolutely everything.
And this slide just lays it out so clearly it's almost brutal. A 2x return, doubling your money, on $100 gets you another $100. Big deal. But a 2x return on $10 million, that gets you another $10 million. The multiplier is exactly the same, but the starting base is what really matters. The wealthy win because their base is already massive.
And that right there is the whole point. Investing's job is to protect and grow existing capital. It's not some magic machine for creating it out of thin air. When you focus on multiplying a small number, you're just optimizing the completely wrong variable.
All right, so if passive investing isn't the engine, what is? To figure that out, let's take a quick look at how some of the biggest fortunes in history were actually put together.
Think about the titans, people like Rockefeller and Carnegie. Did they get rich by putting $100 a month into an index fund? Of course not. They built things. They created massive, valuable systems. They owned entire industries and controlled production. They created immense value first, which then generated all the capital. The investing part? That came way, way after.
So for you, for me, for anyone just starting out, your real leverage isn't financial capital. It's your human capital. It's your skills, your knowledge, your unique ability to solve valuable problems for other people. This is the one asset you can grow exponentially faster than a small investment account.
And this leads us to a completely new and I think much more effective framework. Let's call it the real sequence for building wealth, based on how it actually works in the real world. And the path here follows just pure logic. First, you build rare and valuable skills. That allows you to dramatically increase your income. With that higher income, you can then move into ownership of a business, of real estate, of systems that generate capital for you. And then, and only then, As the final step, you use investing to scale and multiply what you've already built. And here's where it all clicks into place, right? Most of the financial advice out there is telling you to skip steps 1, 2, and 3 and just jump directly to step 4. It's like trying to put the roof on a house before you've even laid the foundation. It just makes no sense. So the entire strategy, the one thing you should take away from all this, is this single powerful idea. You have to build value first. Before you focus on multiplying money, you must first focus on creating real, tangible value that boosts your earning power and your access to capital.
This quote really just says it all. Investing is the capstone, not the cornerstone. It's the final act in the long play of creating value. It is not the opening scene. So this leaves us with one final and I think crucial question. Instead of asking yourself, what am I investing in? Maybe the better question is, what am I building? Because that is where true wealth actually begins.